Hey yo, it's the Mayo Show with Brett Mayerson. All right, everyone, welcome to episode 10, the lucky number 10 of the Mayo Show. I'm your host, Brett Mayerson. It's been a long break. Sorry about that. I was off for Memorial Day and then had some other stuff going on because I had to go see my brother graduate from college. So, been a long time, been about 2 weeks, but we finally have another guest on the show, good friend of mine. Please welcome everyone. Please welcome Billy Pinkney, or Billy the Bat Boy, as people call him. He's the former Bat Boy for the New Jersey Jackals independent baseball team of the Frontier League. And currently he's done some player procurement. He's also doing some digital media stuff there and also has his own podcast, the Bat Boys Corner podcast, and really a media Goliath at this point. So Billy, what's going on?
Brett, I appreciate you having me. Oh, doing well, and thank you for that intro.
Of course, of course. So let's talk about your journey here. So, like, you've been, I mean, obviously you're from the area. So, for people who don't know what the Jackals are, it's independent baseball. They're based in Little Falls, New Jersey, on the campus of Montclair State University here in New Jersey. So, you started there. You're from the area. You're from Passaic County. So, you started as a bat boy when you were a kid.
Right. Yeah. So it's been a long journey the past 10 years and a really fun one as well. I mean, I grew up, like you just said, in Little Falls, New Jersey, the same town as the Jackals and pretty much on the opposite side of town. So I grew up going to games and really just enjoying it. And that's something that really sparked my interest. Just going as a little kid, running around trying to catch a ball and meet some players. And when I had the opportunity in 2013 to become a bat boy, I was talking to the coach about it and we were able to make it happen. I just fell in love with the game even more, and just talking to the players in the dugout, being around the game at a professional level was really something special for me, and something that was really cool for an 11-year-old at the time to experience. So once I did that for a few years, I decided to start interviewing them. I thought of something that I could keep as a memento that would last longer throughout the rest of my life, pretty much, and something that meant more to me than an autograph or a picture. So I thought that interviewing them would be pretty cool. And that's when I really started my digital content journey throughout baseball. So then, yeah, I mean, a couple years later, they installed a video board, need somebody to create content for it. And that's when I jumped on board as somebody who created content for the team.
I mean, that it's pretty awesome what you do,
Yeah.
especially. Did you ever see yourself being involved in the media side for baseball, or you just knew you
No,
wanted to work in baseball and
I
you
didn't
didn't know
know.
what
Like
you
at that point, see, when I was 11 and I was a bat boy, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do for a career, but I figured, hey, this is pretty cool. I would love to be in the game and work in it in some capacity in the future. So once I got some more experience around baseball for a few more years, I decided that I'd interview them. They really started as a hobby. And I mean, I didn't know what would come as a result of it, but it's just something that worked out. I worked hard at it, and things worked out. And now I know what I want to do in the game. But I mean, at that point, I you could have said, oh, I'd be in the business side of it. I'd be cool with that. I mean, that would be something. That's another aspect of baseball that I enjoy too, is behind the scenes and when it comes to the business side. But for me right now, it's mainly been media, so that's been pretty fun.
Well, I mean, you've done a lot of great interviews. I mean, I've obviously when I for those who don't know, I Billy and I actually worked together for 2 seasons. I interned in broadcast, and then I was a part-time MC slash PA announcer. So I've worked with Billy a ton, and I have to tell you guys, Billy does one heck of a job. So I mean, you do some great interviews. You're very personable with your interviews, which I think is always great to see. And I also think it's kind of relatable to the fact that a lot of these guys playing in the independent leagues, like they're young guys, they're just like you trying to make it, and they're just trying to have fun and they're
Right.
just happy to be getting paid to do what they love to do. So, I
No,
mean, do you kind
true.
of feel that feeling while you're doing it though? Like it's like kind of like the same vibe, like, hey, I mean, we're both here for the same reason.
Yeah, it's funny because I thought about it the other day. I was thinking, wow, so I'm doing my thing and the players doing their thing, and we're both trying to reach a similar goal. We're both trying to pretty much do this at the big league level. So it's pretty funny to think about that and say, hey, everybody's on the same page here. Everybody has the same, very similar goals, but just in a different facet of the game. So you have players who are looking to get signed by an affiliate and make it to the big leagues, and then people who are on the staff and employed by the organization, they're using it as a stepping stone for other opportunities down the line. And it's pretty cool. I mean, because I talk to the players and we're on similar wavelengths about where we are in our life. I mean, I'm a little bit younger than a lot of the players right now, but I always was as an
And you're
11-year-old
younger than
kid
me
up
for
to
crying
now.
out loud. I'm
Yeah, I mean,
24.
so they're a little bit older, but hey, we're still going through similar things in different ways though. But no, it's really exciting because you might have some similar connections to different things. Maybe somebody lives in Jersey and you might share a favorite restaurant or something like that, or favorite type of music, and you're able to talk about it. Or even players from different countries, you're able to learn about their culture, and that's something I also really enjoyed as well.
Yeah, I mean it's so funny to think about it because I mean like I grew up closer to I mean I didn't know the Jackals existed till like I was a certain age because it's like the opposite part of the state for me.
Right.
But I mean where I grew up was the Somerset Patriots who
Yeah.
are now the double A with the Yankees, but they were independent when I was younger. And like, when you go on the field or like when you're doing like your little league day or you're there with your parents, like you or your friends, you don't realize that these guys, they're just people. Like they're not like some of the guys in the big leagues who, might be a jerk because they know they're making a lot of money. These
Right.
guys are just, they're having a good time and they're enjoying their life and they're just people. And like you kind of get to understand that. And I think you've gotten that wavelength as well with your interviews. You're like, oh, this guy's just like, he's just a dude. He's
Yeah.
just a
No,
regular guy.
it's interesting because when you go back to my first year, I mean, there's a lot of kids out there who they meet their favorite player and they're starstruck and they're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it," as if they're some type of superhero. And that's great that they look up to somebody and respect what they bring to the table and offer. But when I was a young kid, I feel like I grew up around that. So then I grew up with these players where other kids might be, oh my God, oh my God. But at the same time, I'm here, they might not be MLB superstars, but they're still players who are competing at a high level and looking to do great things, and further their careers. But, it's something that's pretty special is that everyone's human. Everyone's, no matter what, no matter if you're somebody who's in college, whether you're in the big leagues, no matter what, they're still human. I'm human, and everybody who we work with, it's all this. It's very similar, and that's why when they treat you that way and like a normal person, it makes it easy for you to just talk normal and have a great conversation.
Exactly. So let's talk about how you got this big media works that you have now, because you have your studio that we see right here. For anyone who's going to watch, for anyone who's watching on YouTube, we have your studio right here in the background that you built in your house, I believe. So you have that whole thing, and you've built up, your own production company. You have a podcast, and you've live streamed with that too. And you got sponsored, I think, from what I saw last year. You had like a promo code for something. I was like, wow, you're really getting up there. And you had your own cameras at games, you were really getting footage and you were interviewing people. So where did that idea come about? Because there's a lot of creativity that goes into that. So is that just saying like, what else can I do while I'm here? And you just kind of said, let's just give it a shot, and it just kind of grew from there? Or is this something you always thought would make it fun?
Yeah, well, the first step was taking over my parents' office and making it into my studio. So that was the first thing. They're confined to the closet space here where their computer is. But now I have we built this little mini studio, makeshift studio in my house, and no, it's pretty cool. I have a bunch of memorabilia from throughout the 10 years, pretty much, that I've been involved with the Jackals, and then also other stuff. Yankee Stadium memorabilia and random things that you'll find in here. But no, it's fun. I mean, it started really in 2018 when I had the opportunity to create content with the Jackals. That's when I decided to experiment with different equipment and see what I could do. So I invested money into getting some equipment. I mean, during that time, I was using my iPhone as a camera. So 2017, 18, and even some of 19, I was using an iPhone to do my pregame reports, to do a lot of my video work. And guess what? It's an HD camera, and the iPhone is very underrated.
People don't
But
realize it. It's a great
yeah,
camera.
it is. It really is. And as the upgrades come about and new phones come out, the phone's only getting better. This is the 13 right here, and it's great. I mean, it's capturing great footage. But no, I mean, I decided to invest in more equipment in, believe it was probably ended 2019, 2020. And that's when I decided also to launch my production company, Bat Boy Productions. That was in a little bit later in 2020 around my birthday in June, and we decided to launch that. I thought that, hey, there are youth sports teams out there who might want videos done, and even some local businesses. So I'm somebody who likes to be in the community and meet people and stuff like that. So when I did that, it worked out pretty well, and that just continued to help me grow as a person, and then in my business in the field of media. So that, alongside with my work with the Jackals, they kind of linked up beautifully. So I was using the same equipment that I use at the Jackals for my production company, software, everything was the same. And we're just dealing with some different subjects. So I could do the same thing with the Jackals on the video board with the player introductions as I do for some youth teams. And that's something that's nice because I have some examples with the pros, and that's what I've been using for that. And then after that, just doing the interviews along the whole journey with different professionals throughout sports, mainly baseball, and just meeting as many people as I can, the players. And that's something that I really appreciate throughout this whole process. I feel like meeting different people from all over the world, essentially, that's been the most rewarding part, because you meet so many different people from different cultures who do things differently, and some people who are very similar to you as well. So I always enjoyed that, because ever since day one of being a bat boy, I met players from the Dominican Republic, California, Puerto Rico, Cuba, working with the Cuban players and the Japanese players. It's really interesting because you get to see how they appreciate the game of baseball as well, and their culture engulfs it as well. And just coming here, forming one team, everyone has the same respect for the game.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that too, because when like the 2019 championship team that I'm sure is probably in recent memory, probably the best season that everyone will always rave about. But I remember talking to some of those guys too, and they were all very different people. I mean, they
Yeah,
came for some of them played college ball, some of them didn't, and some of them were you had guys from the Dominican, like you said, you had guys from Venezuela, I mean, Puerto Rico, and guys who were just from like the middle of nowhere in like another state. And they're just all here because they love the sport. And of course, they would love to get a chance at the big leagues, but the fact that they're playing baseball professionally in front of a crowd, I mean, some people can't even dream of playing in an independent circuit.
right,
So, I mean, like that's what makes these teams gel, which I feel like
right.
is they're all from different backgrounds. Whereas in the majors, there is a lot of diversity, but sometimes there's like one really good foreign player, and the rest might just all be guys from North America,
Yeah.
which I think is why I think independent baseball is just so fun to watch, is because these guys are all just, you don't know where they're from and you don't know what they've been through, but they're all so different, but they all love each other because of their differences.
Absolutely. It's really special because in order to win, you have to have great chemistry, and to see players from different backgrounds all over the world come together and work together as a family, essentially, is really special to watch, because you don't know how it will pan out. Sometimes you have personalities that don't always mix, and you have to figure out how you're going to go about that, whether you're going to sit down and say, hey, we might not agree on some things, but we're going to make something happen here and do some great things on the baseball field, or are we going to have to make some moves and trade some guys and make room and see how we're going to do this? But I've seen it all. There have been teams where chemistry was terrible, and as a result, the standings showed that. And then there were teams where, yeah, maybe there were some different personalities, but they gelled beautifully. The team was a family, and ultimately, you do a lot of winning, and that's always fun. So yeah, it's really interesting to see how it works. But at the end of the day, indie ball, there's one goal, and it's to win. When you come together as a team, while also trying to get out of there and make it to the big leagues. So it's kind of there's a little contradicting factor there. But while you have that uniform on with an independent team, you have one goal, and that's to win. And until an affiliate comes calling, you have to go out there, give your 110% effort in, and do what you can to help your team win. Because guess what? You're working with guys who are trying to get out of there. You're competing, and you're all trying to help each other with their own careers too. Because if you're trying to make the plays behind the pitcher who is also trying to get out of there, and when players don't make the plays behind you, that leads to stats being skewed, and you don't want that. So at the end of the day, it's just about coming together as a family and having that great team chemistry.
Exactly. And so, do you see yourself in the future working for a team at a bigger level, staying in the indies or and doing exactly what you're doing now? Or do you see yourself going into like, more of the business side of things and just kind of moving up and doing stuff like that? So like, do you want to stay in the digital media creative side and do that for a team and, work your way up the ladder like some other people do?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there are several directions I could go, but right now my eyes are set on creating content and doing that for a network or a team. And, similar to what I'm doing right now. I mean, what I'm doing right now is really special. I'm able to work with players and talk to them and interview them and have create that full package of content. And that's something that I really enjoy. So, you know, being able to do that is special. And I'd love to do that at a major league scale. But you never know in the future if I decide to go down another direction and maybe deal with the business side more. So I'm just trying to take it, one day at a time, and we'll see what happens. But creating content is definitely at the top of my list right now.
Yeah, I mean, I figured that's what you would say, but
Yeah.
you also said you did player procurement as well, um, in 2019, if I remember correctly. And I remember seeing this clip because you shared it, and that's when I learned this was that you were actually on Yankees Hot Stove when it was held at the Yogi Berra Museum in
Right.
Little Falls, and right next door to the stadium, by the way. And you were talking about what you did and that you found, I think it was 7 players, something like that season.
Yeah.
And
Something
you
in
like
that
recommended
range.
them and then they got signed.
Yeah. Yes. It's pretty wild. When you think
You can be
about
a
it,
GM too.
you never know. You never know. We'll see what happens. But no, that was pretty special because see, I'm pretty competitive and I want to win. And when we don't win, I'm not happy. And think about it. I was there from 2013 at that time, then to 2019. So the first year, those years there, we lost every single season. The first 2013, 14, 15, we lost in the championship, 16 and 17 and 18. 16, 17 lost in the first round of the playoffs. 18 didn't even make it. So in my mind, I was not happy because we lost every single year and we came so close. And then the year prior to that, we didn't even make the playoffs. So I was not thrilled with that situation at all. So I was like, okay, I know what kind of talent is needed to play on this field. I know what this team needs, the ins and outs. I've learned pretty well from previous coaches, and I told Brooks, hey, I could help you find players. This was in 2018. So in 2018 is when I found a few players for the team. We ended up not doing very great, but in 2019 is when, as soon as 2018 ended, I was starting to reach out to a lot of players from different organizations, ones who got released, free agents. And so I had a full off season to really dive into this and say, okay, who do we have coming back? How can I, approach finding new players for this team? What holes we need to fill? So Brooks was excited about it. He was on board, and I really appreciated that because guess what? There could be managers out there who'd say, "No, I'm not going to take players from a 15-year-old kid at the time, and like what does he know, and all this stuff." And I'm sure there are managers out there who would have said that, but he was open to it. He wanted to see who I brought to the table. And it's always nice to have another voice too, from a different perspective.
And someone to let you do that too. Cause
Yeah,
sometimes like, an old school manager guy like Brooks might be like, nah,
yeah, yeah.
go
No,
away, kid. Like,
no, he was all receptive to it. So I ended up sending a bunch of names to him and reaching out to players. And that off season, it was pretty cool to connect with guys. And now looking back on it right now, because we had the 25th anniversary, having some of those players who I found come back and visit and watch a game, it was pretty cool. So it was about between 7 and 10 players I found on that 2019 team throughout the year. So we had about 40 players play on the team throughout the whole season,
I
in and
remember it
out.
was a big rotating door.
Yeah,
Like a lot of guys stayed or like someone got hurt. And when they got hurt, someone comes back up.
right.
It was like
Yeah, a few
weird like that.
hitters and a bunch of pitchers came in and out, and that's the beauty of indie ball. Things are going to happen, injuries and guys who don't perform as well. But Yeah, it was cool to, Brendan Butler was somebody who I reached out to and found one of our better pitchers, Justin Brantley, and Reese Corrales, who was one of our lockdown relievers. And then telling told Brooks about Conrad Gregor because we had to trade Conrad back to he wanted to go play in New York in 2018. So once that season ended, I was talking to Conrad and I told Brooks, hey, try to get him out over here. We need a leader like him in the middle of our lineup. He's a great bat, and he loved him. He just didn't know if he would want to come here again after playing here in 17. So he said, yeah, send me back over. So we made a trade, and that was a start to a lot of great things because when you have a veteran like that in the clubhouse, it's huge. He was almost like another assistant coach, Conrad. And then once he came in, I believe he helped get Agresti in here. And then throughout the year, we got Nelson Ward. So Conrad helped get him too, I think. And then some other
He came
pitchers.
from Sioux City, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
he got I believe he got released from Sioux City, and then we picked up on it with the transactions, and that happened. Conrad got him over here, I believe. So it was really special to see how we mapped out that whole season, the off season, the little pieces, because every little piece matters. And it's interesting because that year, going into the season, we didn't have all the pieces, but as we inch closer and closer to later in the year, we gained another piece to the puzzle. We got David Harris back around July or August. Then we got another guy, another pitcher, and things just worked out beautifully. Chirino got his visa to go into Canada. Everything worked out how it had to in order for us to win. And then come the playoffs, we had our full roster at full strength, the best lineup I've ever seen on paper. And guess what? The pitching staff might have been a little shaky going into the playoffs, but the last few games before the playoffs started, guys were shoving. Justin Brantley, 7 innings, no runs, 1 run. Butler was our best pitcher that year. Reyes was doing well. And it's something that everything has to be working out at the right time. See, in order to be a successful playoff team, your offense has to be hot. Your pitching guys have to be dialed in. Your base running, fielding, everything has to be locked in. If one of those is off, you're going to be in a tough situation. You're going to be weaker. So luckily for us, everything was working at the right time, and we're able to win.
of course. And
Yeah.
so some of the content you do that you create is just, it's so creative. Like, it's something that, especially someone as young as you might not really think of doing for a small team like this. Cause I will tell you this, you're going to find this a really funny coincidence. I was working for a news station on my last job that I left, and they were based in Sioux City. I was a bureau reporter for Northeast Nebraska. So I only went into the station a handful of times whenever they needed help, but they were really big on covering the Sioux City Explorers,
Right.
which was another independent team because there's not much there. So that was like a really big thing that they covered. And from what I looked up some stuff with the Explorers. I looked at some of the stuff that the local coverage did. And besides like showing love for the team, there wasn't really a ton of, huge creativity that you're doing with the Jackals. It was really just like kind of basic stuff. Like, if a trend comes up, they do the trend, but like every team does. But there wasn't so much like what you like, especially what you guys do on TikTok. Like what you do on TikTok is incredible nowadays. And it's just crazy to see how some teams embrace it compared to others, which I think you guys have done the best at.
Yeah. You always have to follow what's going on and what people like to see. And I took a lot of time personally to try to figure that out, not just for the team, but also for my personal brand and what I'm trying to do as well. And see what are people's minds focused on? How are they operating and maneuvering around social media? So I try to dive into the behind the scenes part of that and say, okay, are people into trends? Are people into this or that? So just trying to figure that out and then applying it to the content that's been able to work pretty well. And something that I really enjoy is Mic'd Up. miking up the players.
You've been miking up your club team and at
Yeah.
Montclair State for crying
Yes.
out loud.
It's
I live for that on my For You page. I think it's hilarious.
love it. Love it. I'm happy you see it. Yeah. No, that's the thing. See, people like to see the inside part of the game. And that's something that MLB is really working on as well. They've been doing a great job at it. ESPN Sunday night, they mic'd up Mike Trout. And just getting that inside look is incredible because fans want to see what the players are like as humans. They want to humanize, you need to humanize the players. And when I'm able to humanize myself, my teammates, the Jackals players, whoever I'm working with, it gives you a better understanding of who they are as people and what their life is day to day or in the game. So that's definitely one of my main segments, I guess you could call, or episodes or pieces of content that I put out there. And I'm going to continue to do it because the people like to see it, and it's fun and it's comedy, it's entertainment, and it's just enjoyable to create, especially when you're laughing while you're doing it. So it was funny because last night I was bored. Before I went to bed, I was on my phone. Instead of watching Netflix, I decided to just scroll down on my TikTok, like far down, just to see what I posted in the last few months. And I was just sitting there laughing at some of the stuff that I posted with my teammates. It was from a few months ago because some of the stuff that they do, it's great. It's a lot of funny things that they do and everything. But at the end of the day, you're just trying to make the game fun because people say baseball is boring and needs entertainment. It needs more of a spark like hockey and football and more of a fast pace. And hopefully this gives people an inside look that may differ from these other sports.
Yeah, and I think that's every team's doing that in a different way. And I think independent kind of knows how to do it. I mean, I went to you're gonna laugh at this because I know that you definitely love these guys. I was in Savannah last week and I actually did hit up a Savannah Bananas game and somehow I got a ticket. I paid way too much money for it, but that's a different story. But I mean, the way that even during their 9-inning games, during their collegiate games, the way they keep the crowd engaged and their social media, just like you're doing. I mean, you got to make sure the crowd's engaged, and especially at lower levels, because that's what keeps the fans coming. Like if you're at a lower level, like independent league or collegiate, they're not paying a lot for a ticket. They're coming to enjoy some baseball, but there's also some fun in it. And I mean, like you go to a Yankee game, like, yeah, you're going to have a great time because it's Yankee Stadium and you're seeing a lot of fun stuff, but you're not going to see all this crazy entertainment and fun stuff on social media that you're going to see from these lower market teams.
Right. Yeah, it's true. I mean, when you look at the lower levels, like you said, there needs to be an entertainment factor, almost a nonstop entertainment factor that keeps the fans engaged. You're going to have your handful of fans who come to these games knowing the players, knowing who they are, or their backgrounds and everything. But you also have to make it extremely accessible to the fans who don't really understand. You have to allow them to kind of understand and visualize the experience that you want them to have, and not just for the sake of the players and what their backgrounds are. So in other words, you look at the Bananas and what they're doing with their promotions and entertainment. You have to bring that into minor league baseball. You could only do so many things that they do. You can't have guys on stilts.
Copy everything.
You can't do everything. But at the same time, you really can take and learn any type of inner-inning activities and apply it.
The burger flip.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Which everyone loves that one. Everyone loved that one when I was there. Of course,
it's a great one. But also, I feel like fans at minor league games don't necessarily go there to see the players and who they are. If there's a big time name there, then yes, that'll attract people in, which I think is also important. It's nice to have a known player on the team who people want to come see, but at the same time, you have to always keep the fans engaged and entertained, and that's not an easy thing to do. I mean, you have people who are very good at it, like the Bananas and their owner, who does a great job, but there are teams who need to figure out how to do it better, and there are many teams like that. So, and attendance reflects that for various teams across minor league baseball, but it's an interesting thing. And I feel like social media and content creation is what will help engage those fans in the game.
Exactly. I mean, it's fans nowadays, it's all about making sure people still love the game of baseball
Right.
because it's still ranked as America's pastime, national sport, probably tied with American football. But I mean, I would say, I mean, it's still one of the oldest sports and the entertainment keeps people there. Because if there's nothing
Yeah.
in between innings, people are going to be like, oh, this is boring. And they're going to get up and leave.
Yeah.
But you go to a Yankee game, you see all the fun stuff. There's some entertainment with trivia, but not a lot. You go to a Jackals game, you see all the fun stuff, like with the t-shirt toss and all that fun stuff. And that's what keeps people there.
Yeah.
And like the people that I've met at those games are like, I've been coming here for 10 years now, and I enjoy every second of it. And I'm like, well, awesome. Because that's what these teams are here for, to like, they're not ripping you off like the Yankee Stadium is, and they're not, you're walking in for like $12 to go see some good quality baseball and
Right.
some fun entertainment and also some great content on the video board created by you as well. And so, I mean, it's really awesome what you're doing, I have to say, especially someone like that's in your age group. For those who don't know, who haven't put the puzzle together yet, Billy's in college. He's been working with this team for 10 years and he's in college at the college that they play at. So, I mean, do you think you're ever going to leave? You think you're just going to one day just like tell the owner, I'm going to buy it from you, save up in a trust, like save up in a savings account and empty it on the Jackals at one point?
Yeah, yeah. We need a little piggy bank, a little Jackal pinstripe piggy bank. We'll put in the press box
I don't know what's
and
in that
save
booth
up.
behind you.
Yeah, what do we got? Hey, we have a piggy bank right here. Okay, we got my little Jackal's piggy bank. So
All right,
we'll
exactly.
we'll start saving up.
Exactly. We'll start saving up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, do you see yourself leaving anytime in the near future, even after you graduate? Or are you going to try to keep moving up and seeing what you can do and really putting them on the map more?
I don't know. I mean, it's a good question. I mean, I've been asked it before. I mean, time will tell. We'll see. I mean, I'm just taking it, day by day, week by week, and season by season. So we'll see what happens. You never know. You never know. It's something that I try not to think about too much, so I don't stress myself out. but
Yeah,
but
exactly.
the mind keeps going. But I try to just focus on the content and seeing what else I can create, and we'll go from there. We'll see.
Awesome. Well,
But
first of all, I
yeah,
have to thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
absolutely. Thank
I
you,
mean,
Brett.
of course, no problem.
Great time.
Of course. And I will definitely see you this summer because I will come out to a Jackals game or two.
Yes,
My intern group is trying to have our reunion. So I'm sure we'll just
absolutely. Yeah, let me know.
exactly. We'll hop over to a game at Yogi Berra Stadium. Those who want to go watch some fun baseball, please go to Yogi Berra Stadium at Montclair State University. It's very fun. You'll see Billy filming all this stuff and you'll see the finished products online. Where can everyone who's listening follow you, Billy?
Yeah, I mean, social media, Billy the Bat Boy, where it all started. That's my username. I don't plan on changing it anytime soon. So Billy the Bat Boy, and then my YouTube's Billy Pinkney, Billy the Bat Boy. Either way, you're gonna find it, and that's where I have all of my content.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So YouTube Billy the Bat Boy and Instagram Billy the Bat Boy. I follow your personal account, but no, I'm not going to direct anyone there.
Oh yeah. all the good photos are there.
And you have a podcast as well. So where can people find the Bat Boys Corner podcast?
Yeah, so I haven't been doing that one as much. I mean, I post a lot of clips and snippets from that and other interviews I've done on my social media pages. So it's also on Spotify. They could find that the previous episodes for the Bat Boys Corner podcast. But my website, BillyTheBatBoysCorner.com, has a lot of the other episodes, longer form content, and of course TikTok. That's one of my main accounts right now. That one we've been doing a nice job over, and that's also Billy the Bat Boy. So
awesome.
yeah.
Well, follow Billy on all those social medias, and also please listen to his podcast. I haven't listened to it in a while, but watch or listen to it. He's a very entertaining guy with his content. Billy, thank you so much again for coming on. This has been episode 10 of the Mayo Show with Brett Mayerson and our special guest, Billy Pinkney. Billy the Bat Boy Pinkney is what I should really say. And of course, just remember, new episodes of the Mayo Show drop every Friday at 4 p.m. only on Spotify. And also our video content will be the same day on YouTube if you want to watch instead of just listen. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Have a good one.